Hey, how are you? Sorry, I couldn't resist. I'm sure you just noticed that I bought the Jeffree Star teal mirror. I feel like this fits my personal aesthetic so much better than that orange hatchet mirror that I got with the Halloween Supreme box. Yeah, this is more me. So I thought that I would get one of the star mirrors, and I think this shade is beautiful. So I bought four things when I ordered from the new Scorpio collection, and this was one of them. So you will start seeing that instead of the hatchet mirror when I'm using a mirror in tutorials. And another thing I bought that was not part of the collection is I bought a skincare item. I got the Jeffree Star Skin Star Rice Milk Face Serum. And this is a rice milk face serum. My skin has been so irritated and so dry lately, and I've made a bunch of changes and eliminated a lot of the newer products that I had been using and gone back to using most of the things that I used to use before that did not irritate my skin. The problem was I made a lot of changes in a short period of time, and then I didn't know for sure what it was that was irritating my skin. But whatever it is still irritating my skin. So I don't know if it's just going to take time to have it go back to normal, or if there's still something irritating my skin and I haven't figured out what it is so that I can eliminate it. But yeah, whenever you make changes, it's always hard to figure that out. And so if you're going to do that, do it a little bit at a time, one product at a time, so that if your skin reacts, at least you know what it's reacting to. Because I have changed the thing I wash my brushes with now. I stopped using that soap that I was using before. And one of you actually had recommended that I try a clarifying shampoo instead. And I think that is working out much better. Um, but I don't know. I've also gone back to using what I used to use as a face cleanser slash makeup remover, which is Cetaphil. And I've also gone back to using my Cetaphil moisturizer as well because I used those two products my whole life. And I just wanted to try some new things, and I've had nothing but problems since. So I'm not using the cleansing balms anymore to remove my makeup. I'm not using the Palmer's soap to wash my brushes. And I've added this to my routine, but this is very mild and very soothing, and that's actually one of the things that it talks about on here. It's dermatologist tested, it's non-irritating. It says inflammation who our active packed serum helps to soothe and smooth even skin tone and hydrate dry sensitive skin. And that's exactly where I'm at right now. So I feel like this is helping get my skin back to normal, but I do still have some irritation, and I'm not sure if it's just like soap still embedded in some of my brushes. I don't know, but I'm cleaning them as thoroughly as humanly possible every time I use them. So the other two things that I'm going to show you and talk about today are from the actual Scorpio collection. I bought one of the new Shiny Trap lipsticks. So this is a new formula. So it's like the Trap lipstick formula, but with a shiny finish. And that is what I have on my lips right now. This is the shade Scorpio. And that's what it looks like. So it's like, to me, this is like a grade purple. That's how I would describe it. And I didn't have anything like this in my collection, so I wanted to try it. And it's more of a fun less wearable color, but I don't shy away from fun, less wearable colors. So yeah, I wanted to try it. And I have some thoughts on this already. Even though I just put it on a little while ago, my initial impression is if you're going to make a lipstick formula like this, you need to have liners to go with it because they pulled their lip liners quite some time ago now, so you can't buy lip liners on his site anymore. And if you're going to use a formula that has a lot of moisture like this in it, you've got to have a liner. And because this is such a unique color, I had nothing else that I could use instead in my existing collection. So I wasn't able to use a liner at all, and it needs one because yeah, this is like a high moisture formula, which is great for this time of year. But yeah, if you're going to release something like this, they should have re-released their lip liners because I know they've been working on changing the formula, but that would have been the time to do it. That's just my opinion. So I do like the color. It's fun, it's unique, it's different. But yeah, this lipstick needs a lip liner, and I have nothing for lip liners that I can substitute because it is such an unusual color. So that's my opinion on this. And while I do like this because it's moisturizing, I wouldn't buy any more of these until they relaunch the lip liner so that I can buy a corresponding lip liner that matches the lipstick. So that's my thoughts on that. Now let's move on to the star of the collection, and that is the Scorpio eyeshadow palette. Can we first talk about the shape because he's never released a palette shaped like this. This is a trapezoid. That's the name of the shape. And I like it, but man, they must have had a heck of a time manufacturing these because for those of you that don't know, I used to work in manufacturing. I used to be a inspector at a company that manufactures resistor chips. So I've seen firsthand how difficult it can be to make things. And yeah, I can just imagine the time they must have had trying to make these and have them come out well. Because when you open and close this, there's a slight like reluctancy to open it because of the way the two pieces fit together. I'm not saying it's hard to open it, but it's a little awkward. You kind of have to pull on the corner to release it. But I like that it's something unique. I also like the attention to detail here. This is a scorpion tail. That's what you have for the clasp that locks and unlocks the palette. So that's very cool and unique. And let's just talk about the photography here. Jeffree star naked covered in scorpions. I mean, that's an interesting and unique concept. And he's laying on the sand. You've got the beautiful skyline in the background with the colors. And if you run your hands over this, the letters Scorpio are raised and the scorpions are raised. And the top part where the sky is smooth. And then if you run your hands over what would be the sand, it almost has like a sand texture. So there's a lot of attention to detail in this packaging. And then on the back, you just have the skyline with, you know, some little bit of information. Now this comes in this box right here, which has scorpions on it. And then when this is in the box, it, you know, you can see parts of it peeking through. And then all the information about ingredients is listed on the back of the box. So if you're somebody that is concerned about ingredients, make sure you don't throw the box away. I was just keeping it because I thought it would be a nice addition to my little bulletin board that I have back here. I pinned the orange hatchet from the Halloween collection. I pinned that to the board. And then I have the cards that they send you when you get an order, although the last order I got, Gothic Beach, before this one, I didn't get a card. I felt so bad because I wanted to start collecting them, because the one on the bottom is from the Halloween collection, and then the pink one up there is from this Scorpio collection. Speaking of packaging, that reminds me, this is the packaging from the lipstick. So it has the Jeffree star symbol with a big giant Scorpio underneath it, and then it says shiny trap with ingredients listed here. So I figured I would hang on to that too and add it to my little Jeffree star memorabilia that I started collecting over here. So, oh, and on the side of the palette, it just says Jeffree Star Cosmetics with a Scorpio symbol and the word Scorpio, because some people store these on a shelf like books and store them this way, or store them this way stacked on top of each other. So that's why they do that. Okay, so let's take a look. It has a huge mirror on the inside, and this is a huge palette. It is 24 shades, and just for comparison, the Gothic Beach collection was 18. So you're getting 6 additional shades in this palette. And there are many, many different colors and directions you can go here. What I did for my look today was, there is a pale pink up in the corner here called Scorpio Energy. It's a pale pink matte, almost like borderline lavender pink. And I have that as my brow bone highlight and my inner corner highlight. And then on my lids is this shade, which is called Single Minded. And it is a shimmery lilac, I would say. And I did that because this lipstick is like a grade lilac. And so I wanted to color coordinate with the lipstick. And then I used this matte purple called Intimacy King, and I put that in the crease and the outer part of my lids. So that's what I did for my eyeshadow look from this palette, is I used those 3 colors. Yeah, I could not resist going with the purples. However, I did use one more color from this palette, which if you look at my look, you can see underneath my eyes, below the lower lash line, I actually have on some of this Garden Grove. And if you look carefully, you can see a mark right there at the bottom, and that is because I took an angled eyeliner brush, dipped it in my mixing medium that I showed you how to make in a previous video, and use this like as an eyeliner underneath my lash line. However, I also have a purple pencil liner on my waterline because I was trying to tie the, purple and green in together. So that's how I used this today. And this is the first time I've had a chance to dip into this because I make videos every day. I don't like to necessarily mix and match different brands. So like my last video was talking about the e.l.f. lip kit, so I wanted to use e.l.f. eyeshadows to do that video. So that's why this is actually the first chance I've had to try this palette out. But so far so good. But look at all the directions that you can go here. There are a lot of purples in this palette, but there's a lot of other choices too, because you have a lot of neutrally colors in the first row, with the exception of that pink that I used. And then this shade right here is the same color as that mirror that I just showed you. And then there's another blue here, another blue here, and another blue here. So there are 4 blues in the palette. And then you have this green that I used, and then there's a teal here. And then this brown coordinates nicely with the ones on the top row. As a matter of fact, I think I probably would have put that shade in the top row in the corner where the pink is, just to put all those types of colors together. You know, your browns, copper, the orange hued peachy colors. It would have made more sense, I think, to put that shade in that top left corner where the pink is. And then speaking of blues and teals, this is also a teal right here, but it's just a different type of teal than this teal right here. And then these two are more of a straightforward blue. This is like a tealy blue too, right here. It's almost like a deeper shade of this, which is almost like a cyan, I want to say. So this is like a light cyan, and then that's a deeper cyan. And then these are more of a traditional blue. This is like a grade teal, a matte teal, and then the one that I used as a liner is like a sea green, I would say. And the reason why I put that green with the purples is because green is opposite purple on the color wheel. And whenever you bring in 2 colors together opposite on the color wheel, it makes for a very interesting and usually nice eyeshadow combo. So that's why I did that. And then looking at the rest of the palette, aside from all these purples that are right here, we have like a matte burgundy color, I want to say, here. And again, why not put that purple right here instead of the blue? And then you could have, or put it here and then you can have all the purples together in a row. I don't understand why they did it the way they did. And then over here, we have another like brown peachy type shade. And this is so close to this one here that it almost seems redundant to me to have these 2 shades, because they are very, very close in color and depth of color, and they're both mattes. The one up in the top row is a bit brighter, but yeah, those 2 are very, very close to each other. Then we have a matte red, and that's like a true red, I guess you would say. Then we have a matte brick red next to it. And then this shade right here, I didn't want to swatch the palette before I actually used it, so because I wanted it to look nice, because you know they have all those imprint and symbols on them, and if you start swatching, that goes away. But this color right here, I could not for the life of me figure out what it was without swatching it. So I went to the website expecting to see color descriptions of all the colors in the listing, and no, there aren't any. So what I did was I went to another site that sells Jeffree Star products, Beautylish, I think was the one I went to, and they actually had the color descriptions for all the shadows. And they described this one, which by the way is called Loyalty, they described it as an antique gold, which really surprised me, because just to look at it, I thought it was either a green or a silver. So we're going to swatch that right now, because I have a feeling that you can't see. Okay, so they're calling this, well, Beautylish is calling it an antique gold. I don't know. Antique gold is one of those shades that's very unique. So that's loyalty. So that's, yeah, that's different. Now, when I move my hand around, I see definitely like a brown base to this. So the shade that is directly underneath it, Secretive, is a matte brown. And I think that would probably make a really good crease shade if you put Loyalty on the lids. However, there is another matte brown, and they did this again, called Steininger. And for those of you that don't know, that's Jeffree's real last name. There's another matte brown right there that is not all that different from this Secretive shade. So if we swatch Steininger right next to Secretive, okay, they are different, but they're not that different that I feel like you would need two of such similar colors. So, okay, which one is closer in tone? I would say Secretive, the one that is right above that in the palette. So, yeah, they're both those kind of like rusty browns, which, you know, they would both look good with Psychoanalyze, which is a shimmery brown, Privacy, which is a shimmery copper, and then we have Star Aura, which is a lighter shimmery copper, or it's actually like a peach. Yeah, I would say a peach. And then we have Diva Lynn, which is like a matte peach, I would say, which is the one that is very similar to Star Camel. So yeah, there's some repetitiveness and redundancy, I feel like, in this palette. Because instead of doing repeating shades that were so similar, they could have thrown in something else. But, you know, that's just my take on it. I like to see as much variety as possible or cohesiveness. I feel like either you want to do complementary colors, like if you're doing a palette, pick a color scheme and then do complementary colors to go with that color scheme, or just keep doing more variety. Now, because there are all those purples, I see they did throw in these two greens, but yeah, instead of doing those redundant or repetitive shades, they could have done more greens in different shades that would work with some of these purples. I don't know. What do you guys think of this color story? I like it. It's different, but I feel like that top row seems kind of out of place to me. But I think that from a makeup company standpoint, a lot of companies probably feel like they have to do neutrals because people aren't going to buy the palette unless there's some neutrals in there. But I feel like those purples would have worked much better with grays and a black rather than the browns. I don't really care for purple and brown together. I don't, I mean, look at the top row, then look at the second row. Would you put those colors together? I wouldn't. I would put the purples, I would put the top row with the browns that are in the palette, but yeah, I would not. There's some reds in there. The reds will work with the neutrals. The reds and the neutrals and the browns will work together. But then it's almost like, I don't know, and that antique gold color definitely works with the browns in the palette. But yeah, this to me is almost like two palettes mixed together. So I'm not saying that I regret buying it. I'm sure I'll have a lot of fun creating a lot of different kinds of looks with this palette, but the Gothic Beach palette also had, just, talking about comparisons here, he did the same thing. The top row is neutrals, the second row is purples, and then the third row is a green, a burgundy, a brown, a black, and a silver. So, wow, I didn't even realize until I looked at this. This is such a similar color story. The only difference between the first and second row is there's a green in Gothic Beach instead of a blue. And then, of course, there is no third and fourth row, but in the third row, they did the silvers and grays that I would like to have seen in here. But maybe that's why they didn't, because then it would have been too similar. But holy smokes. Neutral on the first row, purples on the second. So I don't know. Wow. I didn't even notice that until just now. But I do love his quality of his eyeshadows. So I'm glad I have both, but yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, that is a lot of similarities. And as far as the purples go, in the Scorpio palette, you have 4 shimmery purples side by side. In the Gothic Beach palette, you have 3 matte purples side by side, and the only shimmery one in the palette is so deep that it could almost only be used as a liner. So I guess these would be good companion palettes then, because you could use all the matte purples that are in Gothic Beach with the Scorpio palette. And so if you have one, it would be handy to have the other to do a lot of different kinds of purple looks, because they do seem to coordinate well together. Because there's 5 purples in the Scorpio palette and 4 in Gothic Beach. Same thing with those neutrals on the top row. If you have both these palettes, you can mix and match and combine. Let me show you again. You can do way more different kinds of neutral looks if you have both of these palettes. Look at those 2 top rows. I mean, those colors all are going to coordinate really well together. And then the gray and silver that's in Gothic Beach is going to coordinate really nicely with the teals in Scorpio. I will most likely do a look with the grays in Gothic Beach and the teals in Scorpio. I think those would look really nice together. So yeah, these are almost like companion palettes. And people who like Jeffree Star products do tend to buy all his collections. So this definitely one benefits the other for sure. So I think that's about as much as you can say about the Scorpio palette Did you get it? What did you think? Do you like it? That's it, guys. Bye. Thanks for watching.